With OpenAI's new release of custom instructions, learning will never be the same again. For those of you who didn't know, OpenAI recently just released a new function in ChatGPT called custom instructions. And on first glance, custom instructions looks very similar to our OpenAI's playground system settings over here, where you can give it additional context, add in background information, and even get it to assume a particular role. And with this one prompt that I'll be sharing, it will blow your mind on how different and how powerful custom instructions can be as compared to OpenAI's playground. Before that, let's quickly run over custom instructions to see how it works and how we can use it to our advantage. Okay, so I've opened up OpenAI's documentation on custom instructions. Basically, how it works is that right now, if you are a ChatGPT Plus user, you'll be able to enable a new function called custom instructions, and this is how it's going to look like. In this case, for custom instructions, there are two extra new fields. The first field actually asks about you as a person. So what you'll see over here is, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? So in other words, you're going to put in a role or a target audience so that the AI is able to build context on top of it. All right, the second question is, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? Okay, so in this example here, you can see that this person is working on science education programs, right, for third grade students. So two things. One is, I am a science teacher, followed by my target audience are third grade students, right? So we got that context for the AI already. Next, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? So basically what this person is trying to do here is that when discussing potential solutions for work-related items, present information in a table format, right, outlining pros and cons of each option, allowing for easier comparison and decision making. So what this does here is that this sets the guideline and format as well. So present the information in a table format, pros and cons for each options, right? This will allow easier comparison and decision making. So with this, just one sentence alone is providing ChatGPT a lot of context. So in other words, right, the first column is more like a role assignment. And the second option, which I think is the most important, is to provide a certain format or guideline so the AI can follow. So remember in my first video, I talked about the ideal prompt structure. It consists of a task, a role, or a persona, followed by context, and then guidelines, right? So essentially, this custom instruction function will replace the role and the guidelines in my ideal prompt structure. So all you need to do is just to specify a task, give it some context, right? The role and the guideline parameters that are set will be set into the system as a baseline. So the other example, the second one, is for code generation. Right now, you're just telling the AI that I am a software developer solely using Golang. So basically, two things is really settled. First, the audience, right? Or the role, which is a software developer, followed by some little context of what you're working on, what programming language you are using, which is Golang. Okay, so that's all of it, right? Then, of course, how will you like ChatGPT response? The example here states that when I ask you for code, please insert the code without any explanation on how it works, biased towards the most efficient solution. So it's really just providing more context to the AI to just set a parameter or set a baseline setting, or essentially a guideline, right, for the AI to reply. And of course, we have this grocery list example where the target audience is, oh, I have a family. So you remember my last video when I talked about target audience, I mentioned about we should actually provide more context based off the target audience that we are targeting, right? So for example, if the output is for your manager, you might want to actually let the AI know what kind of personality he has, a little bit more background info about this manager, right? So that it's able to tweak and customize something that's more catered to this manager, right? So in this case, you know, your target audience is obviously now myself, and I have 4 children and a wife. So this means that I have a big family. So this is that little extra bit of context that I'm talking about during my first video, right? So it is very relevant even right here, which is why if you don't really understand or grasp this concept very well, do watch my first video again and just run through the ideal prompt structure section. Okay, so back to this point here, you know, in this case, you are the target audience and you have a big family of 4 children and wife, right? So how would you like ChatGPT to respond? Basically, when planning meals, consider that I need to cater to a family of 6, ensure that the recipe recommendation is suitable for larger groups, and offer meal options that can easily be sealed up. You know, they even provide a full example, right? What should I get at the store for pizza tonight? They will just plan out everything based on that context that you have already set for and given to them. So same for the lesson plan. By putting in these custom instructions, you are essentially setting a parameter or setting a baseline for the role and also for the guidelines. So whatever that you are asking, right, be it talking about 3 important things to teach about the moon, when the response comes out, it will be teaching third grade students. So they are going to be simplifying everything, right? And they will talk about pros and. So I've recently come across an insane prompt. This prompt that I will be sharing is by this person called Nick Dobos, right? So he is absolutely insane because he have given us a full prompt to allow us to essentially combine the usage of ChatGPT and Code Interpreter into our own personal teaching AI. Alright, so here is his Twitter post. I'll share this post link in the description below so that you can also use his prompt. Basically, what this prompt does is that it is more like a command prompt to tell ChatGPT how to react to your inputs, right? Or to your prompts. So basically, you are going to be inserting these into the custom instructions and use code interpreter to run your prompts, right? So the moment you start running your prompts, ChatGPT will basically follow these instructions over here to return to you the response, right? So a very quick breakdown of what this prompt is about. Basically, anything that the ChatGPT is spitting back out to you is going to summarize everything and it's going to put it and write it into this ChatGPT to-do list.txt. Okay, so it's going to write everything into this text file, and it will also then provide you 4 different multiple choice. Basically, these 4 multiple choice allow you to have a more intuitive way of engaging with the AI, and is using this WASD to sort of move forward with the prompts, right? So in a way, it's a little bit like AutoGPT, but with more control, right? In this case, after giving the answer, it will prompt you for the next steps. It will give you a list of items, these 4 multiple choice questions, where it will allow you to choose what is the next step that you want to take. Do you want to advance by pressing W, or do you want to slow down by pressing S, or change direction by pressing A or D, right? And the choices that they are giving is really very intuitive because it allows you to go back and forth on a particular topic. Okay, so enough talk over here. We will need to really put this into action for you to be able to see how powerful this prompt can be. Alright, so let's head over to our ChatGPT. Okay, I'm going to create a new chat over here and go to ChatGPT 4. You will need to paste that prompt that I've showed you earlier into this section over here below, under the how would you like ChatGPT to respond. You can leave the one on top, which is the one that represents the role and persona. You can leave it out, keep it empty, it's fine, right? But more importantly, the prompt have to go into this portion over here. Okay, so I've already saved it, so I can't save it again, so I'm just going to press cancel. By creating a new chat over here, let's just go to code interpreter. And then what you're going to do next is to start prompting, right? So of course, if you see at my sidebar here, I've already done this many times. I've done this on different language, on Python, on JavaScript, and many other examples, right? But we're just going to do a very quick live demo, all right? So we can start off by something like, okay, I'm a Python beginner. Please teach me Python so that I can take it to the next level, all right? So when I run this prompt, it's going to start running the usual way, but instead, right, it will start saving all this list of breakdowns and this list of next steps right into a file. Okay, as you can see here, it's writing into a file. It's working now. You can actually expand this to see, right? Okay, so it's now right. This W here stands for writing, so it's going to write it into the file, right? And you can even download it, right? So by clicking on it, okay, you download it and you can actually open it up, right? And you can see that all the steps are all recorded. Okay, and then it will start prompting you with the WASD function. Right, so you can start your first task, understand the basic syntax, data types, variables, and basic operations, review the task list, and modify the task. So you can actually press A to change directions, right? A and D is changing of direction. So you can actually go back to the task list over here and change and swap out whatever that you don't like, right? And then you can slow down, clarify, right? And then slowing down means that because right now I'm at a basic level, right? So you can essentially just go up one more level, go up to a more generic or more general level. And then D is to just change direction. Okay, so discuss Python concept of your interest. So you totally want to just get out of this whole task list. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I think we can start off with our first task, but instead of just pressing W, right, you can actually give it more context. Okay, so I can just press W and I can say something like, okay, sorry, let me just close this. Okay, I can say something like, but I want to zoom in on just variables. Okay, so you don't have to only just follow whatever instructions you're giving them. You can, on top of the instructions, add on more things, right? So in this case, I don't just want to just proceed with the first task, which is understanding the basics, right? Syntax, data types, and all those, right? I want to go into variables. Okay, so it's then giving me another list of tasks, okay? And it's going to write it into the to-do text file again. See? It's all over here. Right, and now it's insert and then it's writing into the file again. Okay, and you see it's updated. So let me just download the file and just show you an example. So now you can actually view it again. On top of the ones that are previously there, it adds on new ones. Okay, all right, and it's telling me now that let's consider next steps. Begin with the first subtask, understand what a variable is and its purpose, review subtasks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press W and I'm going to say, give me examples. Okay, and it's saying here that, oh, a variable is, I'm going to store a value, right? Okay, so now that I know this, I can even do something like that, right? I can even proceed forward, but I am not sure I really grasp the concept. Can you test me? Okay, so you see, it's going to test me, right? Like, write a line of what is a variable in the Python, write a code. Okay, and it will say provide answers in question, move on to the next subtask, ask for clarifications on the questions. So I can say something like A, ask for clarifications, but instead give me hints. Alright, and it's telling me now that, oh, I can assign the integer to a variable, I can use the equal sign, and then I can assign the integer to a variable, right? And I can print. And then this example of holding values inside the variable. Okay, and then I can even change direction, right? So I can press D, change direction, go into data types instead. Alright, and it's telling me all the different data types. So it's writing the task into the ChatGPT again, right? And this list will just keep going on. Okay, and then it's telling me, okay, now I can go into subtasks, right? And review subtasks, modify. So this is the subtask that I was talking about here. So I want to go advanced and I want to go into maybe basic data types, okay? But go into basic data types first. Okay, so I can just simply press a W and enter, or I can just put in more context so that it can really go into that topic itself. Okay, so now they're teaching me, all right, so what's an integer, what's a float, what's a string, and so on. Okay, and it's telling me continue to the next data type, which is Boolean, ask questions. So maybe I can go something like ask more questions, but test me instead. Yep. So there you have it, right? So it's asking me to do all this. Let's see if it's able to correct my mistakes, all right? I'm going to try doing it. All right, so I've already put in my answers here and I'm just going to submit it. Okay, it says here that I've correctly created variables and correctly used the word type. Okay, but I'm not exactly sure if they are really correcting me, all right? So I'm just going to try out something else. I'm going to do A, quiz me with multiple choice questions. Okay, so what I'm trying to achieve here is to see whether they can really correct my rights and wrongs. Because if they could, then, you know, they're pretty much like a teacher, right? Okay, so they gave me a quiz now. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer this. I'm going to try to get it wrong and see whether they tell me I'm wrong or not. Okay, so what's the output of the following code? Okay, I think it's an error for the first one. So I'm just going to answer C. Number 2 is X. What is the following code? If I'm not wrong, is a B. And then of course number 3, let's see what type of variable is Y. I think it's a float, but I'm just going to answer it wrong on purpose, right? And see whether no, it's in quotes, so it's a string, right? But I'm going to just purposely answer it wrong. Let me change my answer to A. So it's supposed to be C, but which is a string since it has quotes, but I'm just going to change it to integer to see whether they can tell me that I'm wrong. Okay, so seems like it did, right? Good job on the first 2 questions. And that's right. Okay, so it did correct me. All right, so here's how powerful it is, right? Second question, 5.0 is correct. So it tells me that my first 2 questions are correct. My third question is wrong, and it's telling me the correct answer. So this is insane, right? Pretty much it can become your teacher now, because all you need to do is just to prompt it to tell you whether it's right or wrong. You can get hints. You can move forward with questions. You can ask it for more examples. And this is it, right? You can become a Python expert just with ChatGPT alone. So I've tried others as well. I even tried Korean, right? So let me see if I can open this up. All right, so now your Korean teacher teach me basics, right? So same thing, this prompt is all that it is, right? I didn't even have a role or persona. So I'm just asking it to give me an action plan, and it gave me one. So I'm just move forward with the first task, which is learning Hangul, and it just gave me, oh no, I decided to go with B. Yes, I decided to go with B, right? Vocabulary and phrases. So it gave me a list of very commonly used basic vocabs and phrases, and it tells you how to spell it, how to write it, and the meaning of it, right? So it even tells me next steps, right? Try to pronounce, try to practice them in context, and it gives me more options. Okay, and I selected a B, which is start learning Hangul, the Korean alphabet, right? I want to start from the basic. So it gives me all the consonants, the vowels, and then next steps. So you can see that it's very detailed. It's telling me all the different letters in the Korean language, right? And I can actually continue or move back to basics, or, you know, practice more simple words. So you see how intuitive this is. It's It's like tree of thought, but it's alive, right? It's auto GPT, but you have full control over what's the next steps that you want the code interpreter to take, right? So really, this is game changer. It really puts auto GPT, baby AGI to shame, right? If you want to start learning, go ahead, use this prompt. Okay, so that's about it for today's video. If you find my video useful, do give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. In the next video, I'm going to try out other examples, and that is to create content using custom instructions. So the prompt that we have been using today, this particular prompt by Nick Dobos, is not only used for learning, it can actually be used for other use cases as well, and one of them is content creation. And the results is absolutely wonderful. So do stay tuned for that and stay safe.